What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be focusing on the Toyota Supra and kind of an update on what has been done since the last video you've seen. Now, since the last video, the obvious thing is there's no fenders and there's no bumper, and the fender flares are all taken off. I'm just gonna do a quick little update on that car and then start to continue the rust under the fenders and make sure that everything that isn't necessarily visible is sealed, because even though you can't see it, if it's under there brewing away, making new rust and making it worse, we don't want that. So, but first, I'm gonna go ahead and back the WRX out. We just put new wheel studs all the way around the car, so if you haven't seen that video, it's very informative. So if you do happen to need to change your wheel studs or replace one on your 02 to 07 WRX, go ahead and check that video out. But if you don't care, that's fine. If you're here for the Supra, that's awesome, because there's not many people who really care about Mark II Supras like myself. So, but first things first, we gotta back the WRX out of the garage, because once you start grinding away super old metal and rust, you start to get this. It's like really heavy, and honestly, it's not even worth getting the car all filthy and then trying to wash it off, because it's just a risk of scratches and things like that. So it's nice out, it's not raining. Just gonna go ahead and start the car up, back it out, and then update you guys with the Supra. Alright, so with the WRX outside and freeing up some space, which I'm not going to use because the Supra's over here in this bay. Just a quick little update on what's kind of happened since the last video. I think the last video was, I don't know, I'll card it or something in the corner. Since then, the front end is completely taken apart to the point of no front bumper, which was the worst front bumper I've ever experienced in my entire life. It had at least 50 bolts. I'm not even exaggerating. Fenders came off after that, took the headlights out, took all the other lights and things. But I mean, as you can see, it's just dirty and hasn't obviously had this bumper off maybe ever. And over here, there's some rust that was brewing on this rail and down in this corner right here. So I grinded it down and put Pour 15 over this section up until about like right here. The next thing to tackle is this guy, and the other side we need to do all of that. Then once that goes on, I mean, I don't really know what else is going to be done to the car before the flares go on, or the fenders go back on the actual car. The fenders themselves need repaired like really bad. So I have to kind of unbury my fenders. So this is the current state of the fenders. This is where the flare would normally bolt in, and then it's also eaten up down there. Now the problem is, this isn't a car I want to get painted. I don't want to have this car resprayed. That's just too expensive. Simple as that. I don't want to put the money into it. And another thing is, the WRX's paint is so nice, it almost keeps me from wanting to drive it sometimes. So with this car, I don't want that. I want it to be on coilovers. I want it to be a get in and go kind of car, unlike the WRX, which is very high maintenance, I would say. This car is gonna be a little different approach, but still well taken care of and cleaned up and maybe touched up here. To find two new fenders, and to even find two clean fenders is one thing, but to find two clean gray and blue fenders is probably not going to happen. So my goal here is to hopefully be able to clean this up the best I possibly can. And I mean, if I can't get it obviously to like perfect bare metal, that's just what I'm gonna have to deal with, and clean this up, Pour 15 it, and then fiberglass this whole thing. And then that way, when I go to put it back on the car and mount the fender flare right here, I can drill a hole through the fiberglass and mount it that way. I mean, the flare was held on perfectly fine with that gaping hole there. So I'm gonna have to do that to both the fenders and clean up this side and pour 15 like we did to the other side. So that's kind of what I'm going for today. So once I get that side grinded down and pour 15 and this side grinded down and pour 15, it'll have to dry. And while that's drying, I'll move over to the fenders and start to clean those up. And then once they're clean, pour 15 on. Hopefully by that time that's dry. Rough it up, spray some rubberized undercoating on it, and then we'll be clean under the fenders. All right, so we're down here. We're gonna go ahead and start to tackle this corner right here. The WRX was like this when I was prepping it for paint last year, so this is kind of familiar to me. So we're gonna go ahead, take our wire wheel, and have my mask because I don't want to be breathing this crap in. Crack the garage behind me, so hopefully there'll be a decent airflow, and just start grinding this down until we get to a silver-ish clean metal. And then we'll throw the pour 15 on, let it dry, and while that's drying, we'll move to the other side and do the same thing as we did up there. So, one step at a time. So the camera died during a time lapse, so I just put on the charger and went at it. We got all of this stuff covered and sealed with the undercoat because pour 15 is not UV resistant, and if plans for this car go through, I'm probably not gonna be able to run fender liners. Gonna have to seal it with rubberized undercoating. We have the rust down there that got sealed up with pour 15, so that's currently drying and sealing. While all this stuff is drying, we're gonna go ahead and move to the other side and start to grind away at all the stuff that was up there and the corner, and then apply the pour 15 there, and then while that's drying, we'll go and work on those fenders. So I guess it's been a while since I worked on this car, so it looks like I actually already started getting the rust specks and spots away. This side is significantly less rusty. Yeah, I already did all this, so I'll probably just go over it one more time just to make sure it's good. Did I start on this? Yeah, I think I did. So go over that again just to make sure it's all good. I must have started it and then didn't have the pour 15 because it was all out when it hardened, I guess. So, hey, whatever. Less work for me. Well, I already did the work, but less work right now. So we'll be able to get to the fenders even sooner. So let's just run over this real quick with the wire wheel and pour 15 it and work on the fenders. So we got the pour 15, well, the first coat of pour 15 down where it needed to go over all the raw metal that I grinded away, and I'm not gonna bother wasting the pour 15 on spots like right here where there's no rust and it's perfectly sealed. So I'm gonna leave that for the rubberized undercoating to take care of and just protect it from a rock chip or something to then make it rust. So we have our pour 15, it's laid, the first coat wherever it needed to go, and it's gonna do its thing and dry and really help protect this car's keep the rust from spreading for the long term. So that needs to dry for like 6 hours. So we'll probably do the second coat and pick that up in like tomorrow's video or the video after that or something, because I don't want to put off videos because I am going to be doing the fenders now. So we're gonna go ahead and take the fenders, lay them out over here because there's just tons of space, and we can start grinding away at this rust. With the fender flare on, it's pretty easy to see where it goes. I just wanted to double check. So this one's not gonna be a concern, and luckily it left an outline from being on there so long that I kinda know where it's gonna be. So I can tackle these holes and this edge right here and all that stuff, and I'm just gonna check that one later. But oh, that one got me a little worried. right, so after grinding and grinding, and actually switching over to a grinding disc on the angle grinder because the wire wheel just wasn't doing anything. And luckily now we actually see some like shiny metal here. It's actually very smooth. We actually got to something good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the Pour 15 and apply it to all these spots. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean it, then apply the Pour 15, let that dry, and then we'll move on to the other fender. This is pretty much what we did. I just coated everything I ground down, and then pretty much just this whole arch because it doesn't hurt and I'm already there anyway. So everything's sealed up. Did the inside as well where it needed it, and over in this corner. Luckily this is the good one, so I'm dreading this one. The crazy thing is, up on this arch looks a lot better except for like right here, but then the inside is just hopefully just surface because there's nothing here. So I'd imagine I can just wire wheel this off really quickly, and then hopefully I don't know, man, this is, it feels like there's some metal there, but I don't know, this stuff's super ridiculous. Let's mount it back up on the thing, the box I've been using to support it, and see if we can grind it down. All right, so we got this fender sanded on the outside, or I guess wire wheeled would be the better term. We went ahead and found some bubbles in the paint, and then we just I grinded them down, and same with over here. And then this guy is brought down, and then I did this whole edge to make sure that nothing's there, and then that's about as clean as these two are gonna get. So I'm gonna be laying fiberglass over those in the next video. For now, we're just gonna go ahead and lay the Pour 15, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like when it's all done. We'll have to do the fiberglass tomorrow, so that'll just be the next video. So let's go get some Pour 15 laid. So Pour 15 is laid on the front and underneath. The whole thing is practically Pour 15 at this point. Yeah, you can see the gloss on there. So overall, the fenders just need to dry overnight, and then tomorrow we can pick it up and patch up these holes that exist on these fenders. It shouldn't be too bad, especially now that they're coated and sealed. That's pretty much where we're gonna end it tonight. If you guys enjoy this content, if you like the Toyota Supra, if you can't wait for it to be at a point where it's drivable again and start modding it besides just fixing it, please consider subscribing to the channel. It means the world. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, have an awesome day.